Welcome everyone to our wonderful meeting of Tigertales today. I would like to invite our Toastmaster of the day, Matt, to take over from.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our online Toastmasters meeting. Here, the first one of July. We're truly entering summer when you enter July. Today's theme is pure imagination. Pure imagination is a very freeing concept. It's a very wonderful idea. And I have to throw a shout out to something that it comes from that here in the United States, a lot of us as children grew up with this movie. It might be backwards when you look at it, or book. It's a Roald Dahl book. And Pure Imagination is a song in this movie. And that theme is kind of linked to, for many of us, Willy Wonka. And it's a really fun and freeing idea. He's very zany and hysterical, really. This theme has come up before in the last month, if I remember right. And it's a fun movie. It's a very fun story if you ever have free time to read it or watch it. And to throw a little connection to something that's very relevant today, I was looking at this and thinking back on this movie, which talks about children from around the world coming to this chocolate factory or winning tickets, and all the children that end up getting in are white children. Absolutely. And I'm not trying to like really put the movie down, but I just couldn't help thinking of that. It's something to be aware of, and I never noticed it until the last week, actually, as I thought about it more. And just a small example of something that isn't quite right, I don't think. However, it's a wonderful story, and if you get the chance, go for it. You can borrow it from Kelly and I if you want to. If you have a DVD player, if you still have one, who has one? So after that long introduction, let's move along. Today we have three sections. The first is prepared speeches, the second is table topics, and the third is evaluations. Let's move right into functionaries who help us with skills along the way. Oh, you know what? I didn't write. I got to look at my thing here. Okay, so let's start with Gaurav, who is the odd counter. Do we have Gaurav? No, we don't. Do we have an odd counter? Oh, Ashutosh. Oh, great. Oh, okay. Am I looking at the wrong date? Oh, shoot. I'm totally in the wrong. No, it says 7-1. I had gone to the wrong one. Okay, our counter is Ashutosh. Yes, I see it now. Ashutosh, tell us what you'll be doing.
Thank you, Matt. I'll be the R counter for the day, and I'll be looking for use of filler words and repetitive phrases, as well as long pauses in your speech. What do you, Mr. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you, Ashutosh. Timer is Alasara. Alasara, tell us about timing. Do we have Alasara? Am I looking at this wrong again? Let me see. 7-1. Timer. Alasara. Okay, we do not have Alasara. Oh, yeah, there you are. We cannot hear you.
Yes, I was muted. Sorry about that.
Okay, go for it.
So our speeches will be timed between 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will show the green card. At 6 minutes, I will show the yellow card. And at 7 minutes, I will show the red card, and the speaker will have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Thank you, Alasara. And for our grammarian, that's Brendan. Tell us, Brendan, what you'll be doing.
Hello, everyone. I am the grammarian for today. My main function will be to remind you of the word of the day, which is paradise. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. So the theme we're going with, or the definition we're going with today for paradise, is a place or state of bliss, felicity, or delight. When we're in the summer months of Rochester, I believe that any place that has sunlight after 8 p.m. is a paradise. I will also be looking for proper and improper uses of the English language. And as an added reminder, I absolutely love the use of alliteration. So if you can slip that into any portion of your speaking tonight, you will win imaginary bonus points with me, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you so much, Brendan. Paradise. Okay, with that, let's move into the first section of our meeting, which is the prepared speeches. And for that first prepared speech, we will be hearing from Chitra, and her evaluator will be Deb. So Deb, will you please tell us what we can expect and what project this is?
Yeah, so this actually doesn't fit in with any project, which is totally fine. Chitra is doing a speech titled Fitting In, and she is going to talk a little bit about how much RIT has meant to her during her graduate orientation, and she wants me to keep a lookout for pieces where she can draw audiences in, draw their attention in. So that's a focal point of where my feedback will want to be focused in on. But Chitra, excited to hear your speech, and it's called Fitting In.
Thank you, Deb. All right. So I asked Chitra if she were to let her imagination go and think of anything, what is one thing that she would want to change about the world around her? Anything in her imagination, what would it be? And she said she would want people to be kinder to one another in this world. This would solve most of the world's problems because hate inhibits growth. And hate absolutely does inhibit growth. Let's welcome Chitra as she gives us this speech called Fitting In. Chitra.
Just before my speech, can everybody hear me all right? Okay, that's good. So this is a speech I'm going to give on the orientation program, which will be held next week. So I want all of you to have a serious analysis on this and what are the things which works on my speech and what are the things don't work on it, so I can perfect the speech more better. So with that, I'll start my speech. Do you ever feel that it is difficult to fit in a new environment? Do you ever feel the validation that you need to fit in a group of people? When I joined RIT 2 years ago, I saw all these talented people around me and I thought I would never fit in. I went to the same orientation as you guys are there today and then thought, oh my God, look at the person who's giving the orientation speech. He's talking for 15 straight minutes and his hands are not shaking, his legs are not trembling, and he has not forgotten a single word from his speech. And I thought that was perfection to me. I thought I would never be as perfect as that was. Few days later go by, I go and have lunch with my friends at Crossroads. And then I see a guy far away near the stairs practicing his parkour movements. He flips once and falls right on a skateboard. And I thought, oh my God, that's perfect shot. And then his friends come by and he says, no, that's not good. I think you can improve better. If you do this, this, and this, you can flip twice and land perfectly on your skateboard. And then after 3 trials, he flips twice and then perfectly lands on his skateboard and goes away. And I thought that totally changed the meaning of perfection I just had 2 minutes ago. And then I realized perfection is a myth. Everyone has a different level of perfection. It's a journey of where we are and where we want to become. RIT has so many things to help you out with. A guide who will mentor and go on a journey with you from where you are and where you want to be. When I first started join Toastmasters, I was like, what is perfection to me at the moment? I thought, shaky hands and trembling legs, which is not like that I'm standing a part of an earthquake, would be a great start. That was perfection to me then. Now perfection has totally changed. Now I would like to talk to people who are around my age and think, not feel anxious and feel what I feel in my heart and convey to them directly. That's what a perfection has changed Now to me. Many things have happened in RIT. We have all failed many experiments. I have seen many people who have coded for 6 weeks straight and then found that product was waste of time, money, and space, and then just throw it in the trash. I have seen people who have animated products for 2 straight months and then found that it's never what they wanted, and that's not what, and they found that as a failure product. It's not what was all failing about, it's what they're learning from it is what I learned. In RIT, I find that it's not that we don't fail, we fall, we fail, and we don't fit in, but rather we start to grow up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chitra. That was very inspiring. All right. Let's take 1 minute and send Chitra messages in the chat box. What did you think? How did it impact you? How could she improve? So let's take 1 minute and do that. Okay, that's been 1 minute. Next, we are privileged to hear from Hassan. Hassan will be evaluated by Alex. Alex, can you tell us what project this is and what should we expect from Hassan in this speech?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and our welcome guests. Today, Hassan will be working from his level 2 of his leadership development pathway, and his project is about managing time. So I'll be looking for the way that he uses each minute of his speech as he moves through to make sure that he manages his time well, finishes within time, and uses each minute of his speech effectively in the opening, body, and conclusion. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alex. I also asked Hassan, in all of his imagination, if he could change one thing in the world around him, what would it be? And Hassan said, if I could change just one thing, I would make all people love and care for each other, or make people see the good in others. Wonderful sentiment. The title of Hassan's speech is My Inspiration. Let's welcome Hassan, My Inspiration.
In the morning on Sunday, 21st of this month, I woke up and I saw that my dad shared with me a story about a young man who landed a dream job thanks to the sense of discipline his father ingrained in him. Like it was Father's Day, I took that opportunity to thank my dad for the upbringing he gave us, my siblings and me. And he replied to my message by saying, everything that is a duty is a free. So I spent the whole day thinking about how my parents, and especially my dad's influence, made me the person I am. Yeah, if I have to talk about everything I learned from him, I would probably need at least 7 hours. And I know you don't have time to listen to me for 7 hours. That's why I would like to share with you today 3 things he taught me. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My dad and I, we disagree about many things. For instance, he has a dominant leadership style, which is different from mine. However, he is one of the most inspiring people I get to know. When I was around 15, and I was spending much more time hanging out with my friends, one day my dad told me, you know, there's no any wrong having fun with your friends, but you must be able to say no. And he continued by saying, some of your friends may try to get you to do bad things, but you must resist. And this empowered me in standing against what I think is wrong. Like when during an exam, my classmates were trying to get me to cheat, I would hear my voice, the voice of my dad telling me, you must be able to say no. That's why sometimes I don't care not following the crowd. If I think that what other people are doing is wrong. But I have to admit that sometimes it's not really easy for me to say no. For instance, I really find it difficult sometimes to be strangers with my niece. For instance, when she will ask me some candies and I would say no, when she starts winning, I would say, okay, we can have 2 or 3 and that's all. But the biggest challenge is to say no to myself, especially when it comes to help others. Because sometimes my willingness to provide support can jeopardize my own financial situation. Now I would like to talk about the second thing my dad taught me. Last week, my friend Awel told me that he finds me too meticulous and he doesn't understand why every time he's riding a bike, I insist that he wears a helmet, or why I'm so picky about time. And I told him, I get it from my dad. I've always thought that my dad would have become an army general if he hadn't despised the military regime that ruled our country for more than 20 years when he was a student. Because he has a kind of military sense of discipline that impacted the way I behave. That's why where I go, every time I try to comply with the social norms and the rules. But maybe I did too much, like waiting at the green light when there's any car around. But being meticulous also helped me make some money as a freelance proofreader back home. And this is thanks to my dad, because every time I'm texting him, I have to check the correctness of the content. Otherwise, he will reply by saying, this sentence is not correct. The third thing my dad instilled in me is pride. I mean, the healthy pride, not the one which makes you compare yourself to others adventurously. You know, in my country, many people do not hesitate to ingratiate themselves with the elite, or the political elite, in order to be promoted, which is actually the best way to get an appointment, get appointed. But my dad is outraged to see some of his acquaintances doing so, and he once told my mom that he would never kowtow to anybody, even for a cabinet rank position. And this example that he sets is one of the things I'm the most proud about my father. And it inspires me in my job and any other activity. I always make sure to be kind and respectful to people without being obsequious or giving people the opportunity to look down on me. I used to think that my dad was too strict, but now I understand that he was just fulfilling his responsibilities as a father. When I will have my own children, I would like also to become their inspiration, but I will probably be a more democratic father. Maybe they will find me too meticulous. I will tell them that I get it from my dad. Maybe they will mock me because I'm a bad dancer, and I will tell them I also got it from my dad. It's a Toastmaster day.
Okay, thank you so much, Hassan, for honoring your father. That's always heartwarming when we honor our father and mother. Let's have 1 minute. Alistair, give us 1 minute to write comments to Hassan in the chat. All right. And finally, our last speaker of the day is Sridhar, who has got a very nice haircut. Looks very good. I'm very excited to hear what Sridhar has to share with us. And to evaluate Sridhar is Sarah. Sarah, what can we expect?
Well, we can expect great things from Sridhar for sure. Today he is working on his innovative planning pathway, level 1. This is the research your topic project, which I believe is the 4th if he's going in order. So I'm very excited not only to get to hear from Sridhar, who I love hearing from, but I am a nerd and research your topic is one of my favorite speech topics. So I'm especially looking forward to this one. I will be looking for, per his evaluation, areas that he's excelling, what he can work on, and a special challenge going forward. Very excited to hear from you today, Sridhar.
Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. So I also asked Sridhar, in his imagination, wildest imagination, what would he like to change in the world around him? And he surprised me with his answer. He said, if I could just imagine changing one thing around me, it would be to get rid of all of the one-time use and throwaway materials that don't decompose easily, like plastic and foam, causing enormous damage to our planet Earth. And it's a lead into his speech, which the title is Garbage Patches. Let's hear from Sridhar as he tells us about garbage patches. Sridhar.
Just before I start, just wanted to make sure I'm good with the sound, right? Thank you.
Yep.
Have you heard about garbage patches that are floating in our oceans, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests? Human activities have been disrupting the landscape of our planet for several centuries. And for the past 2 centuries, after the start of Industrial Revolution, we are causing enormous, irreparable damage to our planet at a very rapid rate, and which is increasing day by day. We are polluting our air, water, and land. Today, I'm going to talk about the damage that human activities are causing to our oceans. We are unknowingly building this huge pile of trash floating on the ocean surface called garbage patches. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, there are 5 gyres in our oceans. Gyres are the large systems of rotating ocean currents. You can think of them as large whirlpools which pull objects in. And these guys pull debris like litter, fishing net, and other debris into one location towards the center of the gyre. And these are called garbage patches. Garbage patches of varying size are located in 5 major gyres, 1 in Indian Ocean, 2 of them are in Atlantic Ocean, and 2 in Pacific Ocean. One of the most famous of these patches is often called as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Now, according to the PBS NewsHour story in 2018, the size of this Great Garbage Patch is 617,000 square miles, which is about twice the size of the state of Texas. And the weight of this Great Pacific Garbage Patch is 87,000 tons, which is almost equal to 43,000 cars. And these garbage patches are made up of varying sizes of large shipping nets to microparticles and plastics of size less than 5 millimeter. And these debris are spread across the surface of water and also from the top surface of water to all the way to the ocean floor. These garbage patches are impacting wildlife in a number of ways. One, marine life can be caught, injured, and potentially killed in certain type of debris, like fishing nets. These nets are often called as ghost nets. You can also think about plastic with loops, like six-pack rings, and wildlife can get caught in such loops and get injured and potentially be killed. Now, second way the wildlife is getting impacted is animals might mistakenly eat the small debris like plastic, which are very harmful for the health of seabirds, fish, and other marine animals. Now, these debris, and third way that while it's impacting wildlife is like these debris can transport species like algae and crab from one place to the other place. And if that species is invasive, it will outgrow the species, native species in one location, thereby disturbing the ecosystem. Let me now talk about the possibility of getting rid of these garbage patches. Unfortunately, we cannot completely get rid of garbage patches. Debris might take a very long time to decompose and break down in the environment, while other materials like plastic may never fully go away. Now, large debris like fishing nets can be removed by people. Most of the debris are made up of small micro particles which are less than 5 mm in size. But there is still hope. There are organizations like the Ocean Cleanup. You can read more about them on the website called theoceancleanup.com. Organizations like these are taking up this huge challenge of cleaning up our oceans using innovative engineering solutions. I hope more and more countries and people support these kind of organizations and come up with good engineering solutions that help us clean these garbage patches. To conclude, human activities have been causing enormous damage, irreparable damage to our planet. It's causing damage to the air we breathe, to the water we drink, and the land we live on. And our oceans are getting polluted with these garbage patches, which are increasing in size and weight day by day. But I hope the organizations like the Ocean Cleanup are being supported and they can come up with innovative engineering solutions to clean up our ocean. So the next time when you head to a beach or to any other large body of water, just recall these garbage patches and make a sincere effort to not throw debris in water. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sridhar. I definitely learned something new about garbage in the ocean that I absolutely did not know before this, and plan to do Google image search on a garbage patch. Let's take a minute and share with Sridhar how we were impacted and what he could do to improve. Alasara, 1 minute, please. Good. Okay, that's a minute. Let's move along to very fun part of the meeting, table topics. And to lead us through table topics is Ajita. Ajita, I also asked, in your imagination, what would you do if you could change one thing in the world around you? And Ajita also surprised me by saying, if I could change one thing around the world, I would erase all the money from the planet. No money whatsoever. That would have amazing implications. And I am in total agreement with that. I think it would be beautiful. So Ajita, lead us to the table topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome everyone to this wonderful section of our meeting, which is the table topics. Before we move forward with the table topics section, I would like to call upon the functionaries to remind us of the rules of table topic. Our timer, Alasara, can you tell us the timing rules for table topics?
For table topics, the speaker would have 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will show the green. At 1.5 minutes, I will show the yellow, and at 2 minutes, I will show the red, and the speaker will have 30 seconds to wrap up. Madam, table topic.
Thank you, Alasara. Moving on, we have some other rules which are related to the grammar and usage of words. Brendan, the grammarian, can you tell us the rules of usage of grammar?
Absolutely. For the table topics portion of the meeting, again, our word of the day is paradise. The definition, let me scroll to it, a place or state of bliss, felicity, or delight. Now, if the visual behind me isn't enough, we also have the word placed lovingly at the top of the sky. So please look at my screen. If you're getting near the end of your time, I made a couple so I can be annoying with my background to try and grab your attention. Be sure to use the words of the day to get whatever imaginary reward Tigertales has come up with. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Brendan. When I read the theme of today's meeting, I started imagining the same images which Brendan and Bhakti have in their backgrounds. But again, I went in a very different tangent and started imagining the fireflies which we see outside in summer. And I'm like, yes, this is also paradise. So with that imagination, I thought, let me bring a twist to this table topics section. And I am going to force whoever participates to go into your wild imaginations. And I will share a picture and I want you to tell a short story, imagining yourself in the picture or anything else which comes to your mind looking at the picture. So every time someone participates, I'll do this so that only my background is visible, and that would be the question for your table topics. So who would like to go first? And the guests are also welcome to participate. Any volunteers? Okay, we have our first volunteer, Xavier. So Xavier, I have this beautiful image for you. Oops.
Well, that looks like quite the paradise. Where should I go? I tell you what, with coronavirus and being from New Jersey, we intersect the ocean, very much so. And one of my favorite things to do in the summer is actually go to the beach. With coronavirus, I don't know if that will necessarily happen, but one can certainly dream. And if I am going to dream of going to some sort of beach, it's going to look something like that, because you can just lay on the beach and kind of just look over this clear blue water, no clouds in the sky to be seen. Hopefully I brought sunblock because I burn really easily. But as long as I brought some sunblock, it is going to be a great time. I can only imagine just all the fun stuff to go out in the ocean, maybe take a break and read a book for part of the time. I see tons and tons of trees to climb on and explore. Maybe some fishing as well. I would have to say that a beach would certainly be a paradise worth exploring in the summer. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Xavier, for a wonderful speech. That was for the starters that looked exactly like paradise. Let's go to the second volunteer. Who would like to volunteer for table topic speech? Any guests? Preetham? Okay. So there you go, Preetham.
Okay. So I think that is the beginning of my time. Alasera is the timer. So I'll be looking at Alasera to tell me when to stop. That when I look at that image, what I'm reminded of is looking down from an aircraft. I remember last year we were flying to Peru, and Peru looked a lot like this. There are mountains and cities in between mountains. We looked up the plane when we were landing in a city called Cusco. I remember, yeah, Cusco. The plane actually went between the mountains. There were mountains on both sides of us, and the plane was flying through the mountains before landing into the airport. It was beautiful, a gorgeous city. We landed in the city, and I thought that the beauty was not just from the air. Once we landed, we found the real beauty was in the people. In Peru, what we found was people were so honest. In every country I have been to, there is always a cab driver that's trying to rob you of more money. But in Peru, the cab drivers were so honest. They were always giving you the right price, never overcharging, and they were also willing to go the extra mile, willing us to carry our luggages, drop us to the right in front of a hotel and everything. So that reminds me of paradise, a place where it's not just green and cloud covered, but people are also lively and green from inside. Back to our tabletop master.
Thanks, Preetham, for sharing a wonderful story related to Peru. This was from Valley of Flowers in India. Who wants to go next? Any volunteers? Any guests would like to participate? Should I start picking up? Mingshu, if I'm spelling it correctly, would you like to participate in the table topics?
Oh, hi. It's my first time to join this meeting, so I want to try. I'll try my best.
So here's the next image for you.
From this picture, I think it's more like a river, and in my hometown, there's a famous river, which name is Hongkou, and in the summer day, people always gather together and put a table into the river, because the river is not hot, it's very cold, and they will still put a watermelon into the water, and a few minutes later, the water will be a cold watermelon. Will be a cold watermelon, so they can enjoy it. And what's more, people like to put a table into the river and sit around this table to play the mahjong. Do you know mahjong? The famous game in China. So I think it's a funny thing. Because I come from Sichuan, Chengdu, and there's a place, the mahjong is very popular. So maybe for the Chengdu guys, the river mahjong is the paradise style. I think it's the coolest thing in my hometown. Thank you. I'm being little nervous.
Thank you for sharing your story. I can already imagine sitting there and eating a chilled watermelon. Mr. Timer, do we have time for one more? Okay. So the last one, who would like to try? Ruchi? I see Ruchi's hand. Okay, so here is an interesting one for you.
Okay. So the colors remind me of India. And I'll take you back to my last trip with my friends before I got married. That was last summer, actually, around this time. I was going to be on a trip with my friends to a part of India that's down south. I've never touched that part before, so I was really excited, and more excited because of the fact that it was going to be my last trip as a single person. And if you know how the school friends plans go, they could cancel anytime. So we were just waiting for someone to back out, and believe me, that happened. We were lucky that not all of us backed out, so there were still four of us, three of the school friends and one of the friends of the school friends. So out of which, yeah, we all made it. And I distinctly remember this moment in Pondicherry. If you know, it's a beach area, and it's famous for Aurobindo Ashram, and it's a spiritual place, and there is a big French colony there that was a long time ago colonized by French people. So it's famous for that architecture and woke people, it's like intellectual community. Many people go there, and we also went there to try. And I remember standing against a shop that sold a lot of these colored lanterns, and we were trying to take each other's pictures, and it was not until 20 pictures that my friends were satisfied that they've gotten the perfect picture. So it took a while for us. And I was on this trip for almost a week, and it was a complete paradise. With that, back to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ruchi. Colors do remind me of India too. This was from I would just like to share a fun fact. This was from a bridge in Boston last summer, where the community came up and knit small pieces together, and they put it up like a nice cover on the bridge. Okay, with that, we come to an end to our table topics section, and I would like to give it back to our Toastmaster of the day, Matt. Before that, Chitra, can you please put up a poll for best vote for our table topics today? Over to you, Matt.
Thank you very much, Ajita. I have to vote here. Okay. All right, moving on to evaluations. To lead us through our evaluations is Grant. Grant, take us into evaluations.
Thank you, Matt, for introducing me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I have to interrupt you. I forgot. My amazing question. In your wildest imagination, what would you imagine a change in the world being? What would you change? And Grant said that he would get rid of abuse, get rid of all abuse in the world. And we know that Grant has, that's not an empty statement coming from Grant, because he's actually volunteered lots of time in fighting abuse of children and trafficking. So this means a lot. It's backed by his life, and that is awesome. With that, Grant, would you lead us into the general evaluations?
Thank you, Matt. The evaluation portion of the Toastmasters meetings is arguably one of the more important sections, because without evaluations, people won't be able to improve in their speaking abilities, either prepared speakers or impromptu speakers. Even our functionaries and other members here need feedback to improve. We can begin the evaluation section by going to Deb and having Deb evaluate Chitra for her speech today. Right now, I'd like to hear from Deb.
I think she's not in the meeting at the moment.
She's here. There might be some connection issue.
We can move on right now and then come back to Deb if she returns. Does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Connection issues, so she'll be right back. But I can go right now while she's waiting to.
No, I give up on my laptop working, so.
Okay, so.
Just gonna have to do it this way.
All right, so I guess she can go, and I'll just get out of the way.
All right.
Sorry, my internet started crapping out. Okay. Fellow Toastmasters, Master Evaluations Master, and especially Chitra. Overall, I really loved your speech. I loved how when you're trying to draw in your audience, using questions to do that, just to get them interested and engaged on what you want them to start thinking about. I think overall the topic around perfection was a really, I think it's a perfect way to draw them in as well, because I can only imagine most students who get into RIT have perfectionist tendencies, which we all know is not the healthiest. So I loved your topic. And then the examples along the way you provided around, oh my God, that's perfect. And then learning a bit more about what could have been done to improve on what you had thought was perfection. I think in the beginning of the statement, I noticed you didn't really do like a welcome, you know, like kind of like when we do a greeting here at Toastmasters, just addressing your audience. Perhaps something to consider to draw your audience in is adding in kind of a statement of a joke, like welcome to the brick jungle. Welcome new blood to RIT, you know, just something funny to kind of continue to get them engaged and then leading into your questions. I really think your topic is incredibly relatable, you know, that you remembering you being in their feet and remembering what it was like to be in orientation. I think perhaps something I would have liked to have heard more about is maybe some more personal stories or experiences about, you know, when you were really struggling with this idea of needing to be perfect instead of appreciating the journey it took to get to a place of believing what perfection is. I think we all know through our experience going through college, especially RIT, that the process is refining and perfection itself, that it's the hard work we do when we learn, just like how you wrapped it all up at the end saying we fall, we fail, and we start to grow up. That's really the heart of what perfection is how we grow and emerge from the failures that we have in life, and it just sets the stage for what's going to happen once you graduate. So overall, I think you can draw more of your audience in just having a simple welcome statement with a joke, having some more personal examples in your stories around where you had a failed experience, something a little more relatable. And it also felt like the ending was a little abrupt to me. I don't know how long the speech has to be. It might just be kind of a welcome. But finding a way, I think, to tie all those in at the end, because it just kind of felt like, oh, we're done. I wanted to hear more. Oh, and I did have another thought, apologies. The internet thing really threw me. I think when you say at the end, we fall, we fail, we start to grow up, using pause to help draw in your audience. We fall, we fail, and we start to grow up. That might be a great way to kind of start wrapping up what you were saying and it feel a little more smoother towards the end. So I really appreciate you sharing this. I'm really excited to hear how the orientation speech goes, and kudos to you for going through the whole refining process of Tigertales to get to your place of perfection. Master General Evaluator.
Thank you, Deb, and thank you, Chitra, for giving your speech. So I did forget one thing before introducing our first evaluator, and that is the timing rules for the evaluations. We still have 2 more evaluators, so the timing rules aren't entirely pointless at this point. I'd like to introduce Alicera right now to give those timing rules.
For our evaluation section, the timing rule is 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I'll show the green card. At 2.5 minutes, I will show the yellow card, and at 3 minutes, I will show the red card. And the evaluator will have 30 seconds to wrap up.
All right, thank you, Alicera. Now we'd like to move on to the person sitting next to Deb, and that is Alex, to give his evaluation of Hassan. So introducing Alex.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guests. Today, Hassan's focus was on the way that he used time, and from the way that he organized his speech right from the very beginning, he was using every second for the purpose that he was going for. He used a very clear, concise, and consistent structure all the way throughout his speech. A story, 1, 2, 3, and 3 stories within each. And that number 3 just gives us that feeling of completeness at each step along the way. And that feeling of completeness helps us to remember the different points between that dominant leadership style that he brought that helped Hassan face the crowd, or the meticulousness that helps him stay on time and follow the rules when he needs to. And that pride to not ingratiate himself to people who are more powerful than him so that he can get something that he wants. That rule of 3 helps us remember exactly what it was that his point was, and that completeness is a great way to organize your speech and effectively use time. Another thing that Hassan did great is Hassan's speech was a word of the day machine. Ingratiate, kowtow, obsequious, meticulous. These are all fantastic words that meant exactly what Hassan wanted to say. That not just the right meaning, but all the right connotations and all the right shapes that you want around that word. And for a speaker of a second language to have that good a vocabulary, not just to know the word and throw it in there, but to know the word and to use it exactly where it's meant to be used, is a tremendous skill to have. So congratulations, Hassan, for your use of your expansive vocabulary. And finally, the way that the speech is going to get even better is to take that rhetorical completeness that you had in that rule of 3 and the 3 within those 3s, and to apply that to everything. That there were a few moments in your speech where it felt like you started to use a rhetorical device, but then it went a different way. And that can sometimes be helpful. You can set up something and then end it a different way to spark people's attention. But normally you want to complete a rhetorical device once you start it. So the one of the times I noticed that is when you were just in the beginning and you were starting to, you had just finished your introduction and you were gonna compare and contrast yourself with your dad. And you said, my dad has a dominant leadership style, which is different than mine. And to complete that rhetorical comparison, you would have wanted to say, my dad has a dominant leadership style. Now me, I'm a little bit more democratic. And you see how that creates that light-dark comparison, or that side-to-side comparison. You set two things next to each other. There was a point right in your conclusion where you said, now, they might say I'm too meticulous, and I say I got that from my dad. They might say I'm a bad dancer, and I'd say I got that from my dad. That to have either to grab all three of those different ideas, or to find ways just to complete that conclusion and the rhetorical completeness of it. So altogether, that is a tremendous speech. I am really using all of the knowledge I have to give you stuff that you can grow with, because that was a tremendous speech. Well organized, well written, well presented. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you for that thorough evaluation, Alex. Let's move on to our last evaluator for the last prepared speech, and that is Sarah evaluating Sridhar.
Thank you, Grant, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Sridhar. Thank you for sharing this speech with us, for sharing the information that you obviously researched. You cited sources, and they were reputable sources. You explained the terminology that you were using, and you gave us resources to learn more and left us with a challenge to take action. Those are quite a few of the things that you excelled at. You also used excellent hand gestures. In particular, there were a few where you were demonstrating movement from one place to another, and you stood for your speech and you used your space fairly well. One of the things that I think that you can work on is that use of space. It's difficult in a virtual platform. I know that was one of the challenges that I was facing with my own speech. However, in the limited space that you have, the small rectangle, I did notice that you stepped back and forth quite a few times, which portrays nervousness. And you may very well be nervous, but you want to portray confidence, because not only will that give you credibility to your audience, but it'll also give yourself credibility. You'll have more confidence if you present yourself confidently. You started with a question, which is a great tool. However, you moved right into the next sentence. You didn't give us time to think about the question or answer it. You've got a screen full of people. We could raise our hands if we'd heard about the nice trash islands that are out there, and looking across your virtual audience would help with that as well. The challenge yourself portion, my biggest challenge to you, having been in the club with you for quite a while, is sign up for more speeches. I love hearing you speak. You have excellent skills that you have grown here. You've learned a lot by hearing evaluations and having given speeches in the past. And I just want to hear more of what you have to say, even if one small part of the reason for that is to get to see the cameos from your kids popping in and out of the meeting, which was also a strength that did not deter you when your kid popped in. In conclusion, you did an excellently well-researched project, gave us a next step to take. I would also recommend telling all the engineers here to solve the problem. You use your space and your gestures quite well, but avoid stepping back and forth to appear more confident and to grow your confidence. and sign up for more speeches. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Sridhar, for speaking. Now I'd like to move the meeting into an evaluation of the functionary reports, starting with our timer, Alasera, if he could give his timing report for all of us to hear.
General Evaluator, in our pure imaginary world, everyone was on time in Paradise except for Chitra, who was too early while the Paradise was not open yet, and Alex, who came in when it was closed. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Now, next is the awe counter. Could I hear the awe counter's report for today's meeting? And that's going to be Ashutosh.
Gladly, I have a very small report today. In the prepared speeches section and the table topics section, I do not have any filler words to report. In the evaluator section, though, I have Deb, who had 9 Rs, but I feel that it can be attributed to her technical problems. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Awe Counter. Let us move on to the grammarian's report. Brendan, if you could give that report for us.
Thank you, everyone, except for my other functionaries, because you gave such concise reports. I don't know if I will be able to match it. I will do my best, but everybody in the club, this was a fantastic meeting. You gave me a lot of material to report on. And without further ado, let's get started. So with Chitra's speech, the shaking of the legs, or the shaking of the hands, the trembling of the legs, you would drop that in at somebody not doing that, then imagining yourself or seeing somebody else do that, and then finally tying that in as nervousness as an earthquake. And that was such descriptive language to tie in when you were just watching somebody not shaking and trembling and using different adjectives to describe how confident they were, and then to use that, describe it as an earthquake, that my nervousness is shaking my entire body. I think most of us who have been Toastmasters can remember a time when that was very true for each one of us. So that was well done. Sridhar, a couple mispronunciations, debris, not debris, or debris, I think is how you said it. And then another piece right in the beginning, you had a wonderful simile explaining the garbage patch as a whirlpool. And using that generally as a simile is great, but you could have chosen tornado, but you chose something that also exists in the ocean. So describing something that sucks all the garbage into itself was great to have it described elsewhere, but also using a whirlpool that exists in the ocean was nice. I appreciated that. All of our table topics, contestants, participators, use the word of the day. So congratulations. I'll circle back to that near the end. I want to simply give a hear, hear for Alex's comments in Hassan's speech. And simply put, that was a speech rich in language. And there's times where I feel like when somebody gives a speech, it's like you're just listening to somebody read a book out loud. And it was very well crafted. Your words were amazingly well selected. It was wonderful. So continue to lead an example in a well-crafted and executed speech. That was well done. And a final shout out to our guest. I believe, yes, you're still here, Ming Shou. I really appreciated you jumping in, and like Chitra was saying, she knows what that nervousness felt like. You felt it, you even talked about it, but you still got up there and you answered a question, and that was wonderful. And you used the word of the day. So congratulations. And that is, you took your first step in becoming an amazing public speaker. So don't miss that moment. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Brendan. Now I'd like to give my general evaluation of the meeting and how it went. I'll start with 2 issues or areas of improvement that I found, and then I'll end with 2 good things that I saw. To start with, I think there's a little bit of an agenda issue, and I think that was being addressed before I even joined the meeting. I heard a little bit of the end of that conversation, and where when you go to the email, the agenda email, and you click on it, it brings you to a different agenda. And I think that's what Matt's issue was earlier in the meeting. I think he was looking at the different agenda and was confused by that. And so as quick as we can solve that issue, that would be great. I, as a previous secretary, know how to solve the issue, so if you need help, come to me. And I think it would also be useful when we have guests in our Zoom meeting here to tell them how to give feedback. We just, create a section, a minute of time for feedback without much further elaboration on what that is. And when we have guests, it would be useful to tell them that you use the chat function, you privately message the speaker, and you just type in anything that you thought was either good, bad, and a combination of them, any way that the speaker could improve, or really anything that you want to tell that speaker in that minute of time that you have. 2 good things. The table topics were very creative, so thank you, Ajita, for those. I really like the background images. And speaking of background images, Brendan, the grammarian, I liked your use of the word of the day in the background and the actual paradise island that you have there, or beach. With that being said, I'd like to hand the meeting back to Mr. Toastmaster Matt to continue and possibly end the meeting.
Thank you very much, Grant, for leading the evaluations. This is maybe the most fun part. We get to find out now who won table topics. So for guests, when you give a table topic there, that quick thing, you go into the running for respect for winning and also chocolate. Well, we don't have real chocolate, although that ties in with Willy Wonka, the chocolate factory. It's virtual and you can have some Monterey chocolate. So let's unmute yourselves and let's have a drum roll. Winner is Ming Shuo.
Yay!
All right, good job, Ming Shuo.
Thank you.
Thank you for your courage. Jumping up there and taking the risk as a guest, that's scary. I wanted to say in general, before I pass it off to Hassan, our president, I am really impressed. We have 20 on here, 20 people at this meeting, and I'm curious how many clubs on Zoom starting in the end of March are still doing it. And so this was a really energetic meeting, and that's hard to maintain after months of Zoom. You lose your steam. And I saw lots of chat and lots of comments and lots of things going on, and I appreciated that. This was really, thanks for persisting. Thank you for being here and knowing what value this is. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Hassan. Is the acting president now Hassan? Or is it still Chitra? I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
Yes, Hassan?
Thank you very much, Matt.
Okay.
Thank you also, Grant, for the feedback and all the evaluators. Just a couple of announcements. Last Saturday, we had club officer training, and I would like to thank all the e-board members who took part to the training. Xavier and Alex also had a presentation, and they really did a good job. And we ended the 2020 year with 7 points out of 10 for the Club Distinguished program. So our club is Club Distinguished. So congratulations to all. And I think next time we'll try to get 9 points. I think it's possible. We can make it. I'm glad today we have some guests, and I would like to hear from them. Let's see. I have Hashmat. Hashmat?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you for being with us. I would like to ask you, what do you think about this meeting and the club in general?
Yes, absolutely amazing. I learned a lot of things, I really wanted to participate, and maybe in the future sessions, I will give my speech. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ashmat. Also, welcome back, Kilian, Destin. I'm glad you're back, so I hope next time you'll deliver a speech too.
Hi, everybody. Glad to see you again. Yeah, the meeting was very nice. I like the table topics. I like the background stuff that she did. That was very awesome. I know that it's difficult with social distancing to gather in one place, but you made this meeting very interactive. And I didn't feel like I was far from you. That was very awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Destin. And the last guest is Ming Shu. Congratulations, Ming Shu, you won the table topics. So I'd like to hear from you about the meeting and the club. What do you think about it?
Yeah, all of you knows that I'm the first time to join this meeting. And at the first time, I think I got confused because there are so many roles that play different jobs. But I think it's cool because we are in a very cool organization. Sorry, excuse me. We are all in a very good organizations. So I think that's a good point. And I found all of you guys talk very well and use very good words and sentence. I think it's too many things that I can learn, and I really appreciate it. And I think there's a lot of things that is very creative, and I heard about a lot of sentence and a lot of activities that I didn't know. My spoken English isn't not really well, but your guys motivate me, and I think it's a really good point. And I think next time I will still be here to maybe sometimes maybe someday I will join you maybe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. I hope next time you'll be with us. So I would like to remind all the guests that we have our meetings every Wednesday starting at 6:30. And if you can email me, send me your email. I will next time you or another member of the club will send you the agenda. Okay, thank you very much all, and we really had a great meeting. So next meeting will be on July 8th, the 8th of July. So see you then. Thank you very much.